So if there are engineers here in the room that use anything else, if there are engineers here that use any other software than Visual Code, I totally feel you. I do the same thing. But for the sake of this workshop, we're going to use Visual Studio Code. If you come to me afterwards, I can show you how to hook up Sublime, how to hook up Atom. It's all possible. But just to keep everything as easy as possible for this workshop, we're going to use Visual Code. And I think we can then start. What do you mean?
En vez de maximizar la pantalla con el botoncito verde, si la ponéis normal y después clicáis en la barra de arriba, como que no se esconde la barra de preview, etcétera, ¿sabes? Porque le ha pasado a varias personas. ¿Entendéis lo que quiero decir o no? ¿No?
Can you show mine what you mean?
Sí. Os lo enseño porque es que es por experiencia.
Okay.
Vale. ¿Veis esto? Esta barra, si maximizáis, se os va a borrar. O sea, se os va a borrar, se va a ocultar. Si hago así, se oculta. Entonces no tenéis barra. Entonces, para hacer esto, en vez de así, clicad 2 veces aquí, porque se hace grande igual, pero al menos tenéis la barra. ¿Vale? Ya está.
Vale. Where's Polo? So, are we all good to go? Let's do it. So, first of all, I really want to thank you all for being here, and I also really want to thank Ironhack for hosting this and having us here. It's really cool for us to spread the word about our new product. If you notice me kind of tripping over my words, that's because, one, I'm really excited to be here, but I'm also very scared to be standing in front of 200 people. My name is Marciano. I'm from the Netherlands, from Amsterdam. And I do design education at Framer. And what design education means is I get to play with our tool all day long, which is kind of a great job. And in the end of the day, I get to talk to people like you and then show you how the tool actually works. But truth be told, normally that's 20 people. So it's a bit of a change of the atmosphere, but it's great, new things. And so what we're going to do today is we're going to start your interactive design system in FramerX. Even though my Spanish is really bad, I think we've talked about design systems earlier today already. So it might be a bit of things I'm going over again. But we're going to create something. And the reason why I do that is FramerX is just going to change the way you design. We think in components. And when you start doing so, we also want to do some hand-holding to get you to create something. Because we can show you a demo how cool it is and then leave you. But you probably want to start creating something so that at the end of the day, we hopefully see you creating, in this evening maybe, creating your own design system. So I'm going to try to keep it really simple. But again, if at some point it becomes too hard or I need to go slower, I have a tendency to go really fast suddenly. Or if something isn't clear here, please just put your hands up. We can kind of pause a bit. Aro is going to come to save me and you. So yeah, let's get started with starting your interactive design system. Oh, and also I want to preface this with, it's very beta. Sometimes things might stop working, which is really cool. But yeah, we're just going to have to live with that, and we'll get back to it, and it's going to be fine. So in this case, I will need to restart. Well, this is really cool. So yeah, sure. I want to start with a quote from Airbnb. You can't innovate on products without first innovating the way you build them. The reason why I'm saying this is Airbnb a few years ago was just a really tiny company, and they just had a cool app that you don't need to go to hotels anymore, but you can just rent out your house. But Airbnb kind of grew. I think you also see what's happening in Madrid. If you have the same problem happening as we have in Amsterdam, then suddenly all the houses are rented via Airbnb. But this also meant that Airbnb kind of wanted to be more than just that tiny company that was renting out houses. So they built a platform. And you can now not just rent a house, but you can actually get a guide to help you through the city that you go to. So I was renting our room on Airbnb, because I'm that horrible person as well. But then you suddenly get a message from someone saying, like, hey, do you maybe want to see what Madrid is all about? And so there's another app that does that. And Airbnb currently has more than 10 apps. And at that moment, they started thinking, if we might grow to 100 apps later, we need to have one kind of language that we speak so that all our apps feel the same way. Because if you suddenly are in another app than Airbnb, and the look is totally different, how are you going to know that it's still Airbnb? And how are you going to get that trust? And not only is that important for you, the user, but also for the company themselves, because instead of having 10 teams a few years ago, Airbnb now has 150 teams. And so you want all those teams working together really well, and you don't want to have one designer that goes like, I'm going to try everything in pink now, while your color is kind of this nice red tone. So you want to have everyone on the same line, and that's what a design system helps you do. And so the way Airbnb puts it, we first have to innovate on the way we build our products before we can start a new product, and that's what they did, and that's why all the products look the same now. So design systems. The way how we can do this in Framer, because a design system can be anything. It can be colors, typography, icons, guidelines, components, and principles, but also just the way how you talk to your customers. Because if you as a brand want to be open, your communication also has to be open. And all those things are in your design system. Of course, FramerX can't help you with that. We can't help you learn how to communicate with your customers. But what we can do is all the visual aspects and the interactive aspects, we can help you with that with FramerX. And that's what we're going to focus on today. So just the three biggest things that I want to kind of sell you on the idea here is why having a design system is important. Can I get like a show of hands who works at a company with more than 50 people? There's a few, OK. And so you probably already noticed once or twice that you're working on something, but you have no clue what the other person is doing. And so it kind of isn't that great to work together. And you have Slack, of course, so you keep talking to each other, and that's cool. But in the end, that also doesn't really help. But if you're a startup, like Framer is, then you're still building the same product, and you can all talk the same language. But the moment we start growing and we have different product teams, we want to be really sure that we still speak the same language. And that is what I mean with offer consistency. If you have a design system in place, you will get a button, and you will just see the colors of the button that the design manager has decided that the whole company is going to use. Speed up your workflow is really important, because if you have all your components ready already, if you made them yesterday, and you want to create a prototype today, all you need to do is take those components out of FramerX, and you have your prototype ready. So you don't need to, the focus here would be reusability, so you don't need to create a new design all the time. You can just get it in there. So a great example was what Aroa showed earlier with the logo component. You can probably imagine how many times you've Googled the company logo just to have it in your design. And then you start a new project, and you have to do the same thing all over again. And that, in the end, doesn't make sense. It just takes you a minute, but every project you do that, it takes up an extra minute. And if you work in components in a design system, you don't have to do that, so it goes way faster. And reduce design depth, and that means you've created an app a year ago, and by now you've totally changed your design, but you kind of forgot about all the assets that you already had. And then in 2 years, you suddenly see that old pink button again, and you think, like, how did this get here? If you have an up-to-date design system, like you would do in FramerX, you can just press the update button, and suddenly it's changed all across your apps. So you just need, on one place, you need to update it, and then there's no more lost design items in your design. And that's really powerful. So are these 3 points kind of clear? Because else, I don't mind telling it again and trying to maybe try a bit easier English or something. Just raise your hand if this wasn't clear, please. Nope? Cool. Would be really nice if this thing keeps working. So yeah, some examples. Is anyone familiar with Atlassian? So Atlassian, if you're an engineer or designer, it's a huge company, but they also have this really unique way of keeping their name kind of undercover. But everyone has worked with Atlassian. They are known for Jira, so if you work with ticketing systems, you have met Atlassian. They have HipChat, which is now bought by Slack, but it was kind of the same thing. And if you use any kind of GitHub as an engineer, you might use Bitbucket or SourceTree, and that's all them. So they actually have more than 24 apps, which is used by more than 100 million people, so it's huge. And for those companies, it's really important that the moment I'm in an app called HipChat, and I don't know that's Atlassian, but the moment I switch to their other one called SourceTree, that they kind of feel the same way, even though they don't have the same name, that you still know this is the company I trust. And so Atlassian is a real good example for this. They even wrote down how to do your marketing. So they really tied down how you should use your typography. Everything should be bold if you try to make a statement. And that should all be part of your design system, and that's all possible in FrameRX. And another good example would be Google Material Design. And I think the best way to even sell the idea of a design system is, can you imagine, or can you remember how Google apps looked 4 years ago? How horrible they were in design? Like, they were really, really bad. And if you went to Google, it would look totally different than when you were on Google Maps. It looked like totally different products. Well, they are all under the same Google umbrella, so you want them to feel the same. So what Google did in 2014 is they started building material design. That was their design system. And it's now the #1 design system that's being used because everyone can just freely take it, import it into their projects, and make a really nice-looking app. And just if you look at this example, you can kind of see they hit it off, right? Because even though you still have different colors, they all kind of feel the same way. And that's what you want to have if you have different products. And I hope that kind of made sense. Please just interrupt me. We can go through it all. OK, so there's a lot of things to cover, but I think the most important one to take today, and I think the one that is the most difficult to start with, would be components. And that's what I'm going to help you with today. So we're going to start really, really small. We're going to start with design components. And I'm going to split these things up in workshop and demo. When it's a workshop, I would really like you all to participate. And when it's a demo, you could try, but it might kind of fail, but at least you know how it looks like. So in this case, we're going to start creating a button. So when I now switch over to FrameRX, yep. Also, at this point, if you fail anywhere, it really is no problem. It might just be our software doing something weird. So please just tell us. Aroa and Polo will come to you. It might be nice. Aroa and Polo, could you be like so that you can see it? So we're going to start really simple today, and we'll see if we have enough time, if we can do more. But we're going to start creating a few buttons. And how we do that is, first of all, I would save the project. So let's call it our buttons. And so now we start to create a frame. And it can be anything, but I'm just going to make a few. So if everyone is OK with this, please be sure to use a frame. You can do so by tapping F or just clicking this. And then just create a button. It doesn't really matter what color you make it or how big it is. But in my case, because I like it more visually, I'm going to go with 120 and a 44. And you can also tweak the radius a bit. So let me zoom in here. So that you can kind of see those rounded edges, right? And I'm just going to go with this beautiful color because of the contrast. So next, I would put in some text here. It also doesn't matter which font you use or what the size of the text is, but please be sure to have it inside of the frame. I know it's kind of hard to see like this, and I don't think I can zoom in on the UI itself. But we've created a frame, which is the whiteboard, and inside of there is our button, which is a frame, and there's a submit text. Are we OK so far? Does anyone need extra time, or? It's OK? Cool. You're all a great class so far, so thank you. And this is really important. Please call it primary button. And I think you can see it here, so I'm just going to do something to make it more clear for you. But please name this button. Name it primary button. So here. And you can do so by right-clicking and then change name. Or if you have it selected, you can use Command-R to change it.
Con las mayúsculas y todo, ¿eh?
Cool. And now the magic starts to happen because you want this to become a design component so that you can easily reuse it. And I'm going to do this with, or first I'm going to try to do something else. I'm going to duplicate this one. I'm going to change the color a bit. And I'm going to change the name to secondary button.
Para duplicarlo es Alt, lo clicáis y lo arrastráis. O Command-D y lo arrastráis. ¿Todos?
So I hope this makes it a bit more clear on the screen. OK, and then I'm going to add a third one. And it's going to become really clear why I'm doing this in a minute. And we're going to change it up a bit. So we're going to change this color to that pink one. And then we're going to create a border, also with that color. Let's make it 2 pixels. And then remove the fill. And we call this one inactive button. So
¿Alguien? ¿O todos bien?
are we all on board? Cool. Can I continue, or?
Yeah, I think so.
Perfect.
¿Hay alguien perdido? ¿O todos bien?
OK, so I'm going to remove these ones, because it's all about the 3 buttons here. And now we're going to start making design components so that you don't have to recreate that button ever again. So if I now look here in my Components tab, there's nothing. But the moment I do a right-click here and I say Create Design Component, or using Command-K, which is the shorthand key for that, then you will see it now turn purple, and here it says master, and that means it's the big boss. The moment you start changing that one, it will be changed in all of your designs. I'm also going to use Command-K on secondary button and on inactive button. And so if I now go into my Components tab, I suddenly have 3 buttons. So if I want to create this button again, all you need to do is this. Are we all? Perfect. OK, so now the magic starts to happen, and that's I would like you to go to, when you have the primary button selected, click on text, and call it text. So this part is really important at the moment. And you should also do so for the other ones.
¿Os aparece a todos? Bien, una pregunta.
And please, if you can't follow along, perfect. Yeah, sure. From which part? Changing the name?
One second. Pause.
OK, cool. So I used, did you do the Command K or create design component? Then if you select the button and you go to the menu here, you have to tap this checkbox that's in your UI and then just call it text with a capital T. So
Pero sería importante que pusieras los nombres porque después... Porque estoy seguro que todo el mundo estará igual.
Polo, can you go like help
¿Sí?
people?
Es que lo he puesto y no le doy enter.
Exacto.
Vale.
Entonces ahora... No, está bien, no pasa nada. Es que vamos muy rápido por eso. O sea, yo digo que creo que vamos demasiado rápido.
Does anyone have a question meanwhile that I can answer to everyone?
Frame, text, tenéis que poner text.
Please don't be afraid to ask. We're here to learn, so...
Vale, vale. Es importante que todo el mundo tenga los nombres tal como están allí. Es decir, primary con la P mayúscula, lo demás minúscula y después button con la B mayúscula y button minúscula.
I think I can
Igual.
make it clearer, like...
¿Todo el mundo los tiene o necesitáis un minutito para cambiarlos? El tercero es inactive button.
Hey, we're getting there.
O sea, es importante que los nombres sean así, porque después cuando vayamos a código tenéis que tener los nombres bien puestos. Cuando todos lo tengáis, damos un minutito, tranquilos, hacedlo. Tenéis que tener esto y tienen que ser componentes. Tiene que haber un máster al lado de las capas.
Yeah, but it doesn't work in FrameRex. But thank you.
¿Hay alguien?
¿Cómo se edita el nombre? Gracias.
¿Todo el mundo ha sabido cambiar el nombre? Si hay alguien, levanta la mano, ¿vale? Continuamos.
But there's too much noise, so... Yes, are we all there?
Yeah.
So I see some people kind of looking questionary there. What you see up here, this is zoomed in. What you see here is this.
Window?
And so it's really important to have it like that.
Yeah. Marciano, can you show how to change the day mode to night mode?
Sorry?
Night mode to day mode?
That's a really good one. So you want me to change myself, or?
No, well, you can just keep it on day mode, but just for them to change it, because all have them in night mode.
So you go to Window, and you then do day mode or night mode, or you can do Command Control N.
Yeah?
So are we good to go, or?
Yeah.
Cool. So what you would be doing now is we created 3 buttons here, and that would be the basis of your design system. Now, of course, in your system, you might have 20 different buttons, but it would all be one big file where you collect them all, so that you only have to design them from one place, and that you can just import them from that place later on. And it are not just buttons, of course. This could also include your typography. It could include all the colors that you're using. But it's going to be way too complicated then, so I'm just going to keep it to these 3. And now we want to start making them interactive, right? So I go to my Components tab, and I click New Component. I wish I could zoom. And I'm going to select From Code, and I'm going to call it Button with a capital B. And so now it should open Visual Studio Code. And I'm going to zoom this one in because here I can. So to reiterate, you start creating a button from the component. You could even put it on the canvas. And the moment you have selected that, it should open your Visual Studio Code. And you should be able to see this. If you don't see this, please raise your hand, because else we can't continue. All good? All good over there? Cool. Oh, I think we have to wait a bit. Where's Aroa? Yeah, we're all good to go? Okay, cool. So I just showed you how to make design components. They're nothing special, really. We're just doing, we're laying the foundation of what we're going to create now. And now the cool part starts happening, which are code components. And so what you see here, it might look scary if you're not familiar with code, but this is React. And we're just going to help you through that. We're going to keep it, again, really simple, but you're going to see how you can create your first thing. I might end up ruining it myself, and then we'll just see where we land. But what we're going to do here is we want to make it able so that these 3 buttons are actually one button now, because that's in the end what you want to do. You just want to select which button you want to use, and it should do so automatically for you. So I'm in edit code, and I'm going to get rid of this. So please just delete it. And you will see this error, but that's no problem. It's because everything you do in FramerX is actually code. So the moment you start editing the code, it will think, oh, something is going on. But this is perfectly fine for this moment. So what you can do now is, and it's important that you type this with me. So you go, what we want to do now is those 3 buttons, we want to put that together in that button. How you can do that is we import all these buttons, and you have to use the same naming schedule as we just did. So we want to import primary button, secondary button, inactive button, from ./canvas . So what we're doing here is we're telling, we're importing in React, actually. And we're getting these 3 buttons in there and saying you have to look at the canvas. And so it looks scary, but it really isn't. We're just kind of basically using English here. And now what you can do is, are we all so far so good? Please really raise your hand if it's not cool. So what you can do now is you can actually get that button in here. Oh, our row is. So that arrow that you just saw now became this button. And the way how we do that is we say here, import primary button, secondary button, inactive button. And then here, you're basically saying, now put this on my canvas again. And we're calling the primary button. You can also change this. So secondary button. And if you then hit save, it will change to the other button. Are we there so far? So I'm going to keep going if nobody interrupts. Then I hope everyone is on board. So another thing, because I asked you to put the text here, is because we want to make it interactive. We want to be able to change the text here and that it's updated right away. And you can do so by saying text is and so if this now becomes it's a bit buggy, but so please copy this. I'm going to zoom in a bit more. Could you like walk around? Also, if this is too hard and you really don't want to do it now because of the pressure or whatever, I'm just going to send you all the file afterwards and you can still do it. So it's going to be fine. But it would be really cool to see if you're able to do this, because then you already have that first hard part done. And it's only going to get easier, so that's great. So I think we can continue. And so now that we hooked this up, we said the text should listen to the properties of the text, which is a weird thing. But this is what we're doing to make the life of the designer easier. We're going to let engineers use their code skills so that they can make their components for their designers. And so designers don't need to do any hard work anymore. They can just use whatever is here. And it could be... Let me just quickly change that one. Beautiful. So now we're going to go a step higher because we actually want to be able to choose which button we want to use in here by saying which style. So that we can choose from one of those three so that we don't even need those anymore. So I'm going to need to set it up a bit better. Sorry for that. Yes. All right, so what we're going to do now, and now the actual code begins, so please pay attention, else you're not going to be able to follow it anyway. And so we're going to start by saying style. Primary. Secondary. Oops. Inactive. So this makes no sense at this moment yet, but it will come in a second. Because even though we use React now in FramerX, which if you are an engineer, you're going to love this, but we also have something that we call our properties control, which is something we add on top of React to make people that don't really want to know or learn React. If you're a pure designer, you might not want to know all the code, so we're going to make it easier by adding something on top of it that you can also take out again. And we call that our properties control. And so what we're going to do here is we're going to set a basic style. And so slowly you would see something changing here. Sorry. And then style. And so this is pure what Framer does. You don't have to use it, but this is going to make your life just a lot easier. And I'm going to say I want to be able to choose something from a drop-down. This is all code talk. Afterwards, I can go into depth why this works this way. And we're going to make this way easier when we release Framer X. But right now, this is the perfect way to do it. And we're going to say it has to be style of the button. And then options has to be primary, secondary, inactive. And so what is starting to happen now is that we're kind of hacking into Framer X. So if you now look at the site, and let me just do it like this again. You suddenly have an extra table that you can choose from. And so you can kind of build your whole system and just let your designer choose from a few options so that they can quickly create their prototype. Aroa.
Yeah, maybe. Can you show the code again? Because I think
Yes,
people didn't have
perfect.
time to finish copying the code. See? I think we can stay there for like 1.5 minutes.
Yeah, sure. Should I go explain something?
I don't know. Like, ¿alguien tiene preguntas?
Does anyone have a question of what they see here so far?
Can you go a bit down? Can you scroll a bit down, please? On the return? Yeah. Tienes que...
Yes. Yeah. So it needs to be, yeah. But also, these are the default props, and so they need to be different. Here, you need to do style. Oh, wait, if you take it back, if you look here. So we start with style is primary, secondary, and active.
No sé cómo ha hecho para el texto alargarlo al 100%. Es que lo alargo se me crece entero y él lo ha dicho. No sé cómo lo ha hecho él.
Pues buena pregunta.
And the other parts are also, because else it's just going to break. If you look here, the static properties control and the static default props.
Pues ves a ayudar porque hay bastante gente perdida.
Yeah, you also need to add something.
Creo que habías preguntado algo.
Because you need to be able to say to Framer what the standards would be.
¿Cómo sacan el documento button TSX? O sea,
Vale. Vale, mira. ¿Estás aquí? Y lo pones arriba. Sí, claro, pones esto. New component. Y from code. Y aquí pones button con B mayúscula. ¿Sí? Y ahí lo puedes cambiar. Sí.
Is this okay so far?
Voy a ir por el medio.
Default props, text style, in the interface, defining the three properties. But somehow I changed the...
You always have to save.
How to say?
Yeah, you got it, man. No, it's not supposed to work yet. You just need to be here.
Ah, okay. This text, if I change it, it's not going to change.
Ah, okay. Well, this is a good one.
Un momento. Creo que voy a ir arriba. Voy a explicar cómo los pasos otra vez.
Did you call... Yeah, I had to take this one and call it... Yeah, so it's able to read inside a Framer, which is great. And you also have to do it to these ones. Sorry.
You can review the steps and see where everyone got lost.
Sure, but where, if I know where people got...
Yeah, that's the thing we don't know. So
Okay, so let's just walk through the steps really quickly again, and please, please, please tell me if you got lost here, then we can just take a second, and Aroa is super good in this, so.
Yeah.
So what we did is we created 3 buttons, right? And we made them a design component. So we hit Command-K. We named them all differently, but we said primary button with a capital P, a capital B, secondary button with a capital S, a capital B, and inactive button with a capital I and a capital B. Then we went...
Todo el mundo tiene eso. Seguro, nadie... O sea, puedo ir y explicaroslo como si no. Todo el mundo. Vale, todo el mundo tiene los 3 botones, tiene los 3 nombres bien y ha creado 3 componentes. Si no, levantad la mano y después iré.
So...
Los nombres. Vale, pues
So please check
hazlo-
that you called them this.
Ya. 2 clics. Vale. Para cambiar el nombre del botón, para quien no lo tenga, es 2 clics en el nombre, cambiáis el nombre y después pulsáis Enter. Porque si no pulsáis Enter, no se va a guardar. ¿Vale? Vale.
Okay, so then we go to the next step, and that is that you have to... They got it. Good
Yeah.
job, good job.
Bien.
And now you have to go on the right side to the button and name it text. So please be sure that you, in this area, you have called it text with a capital T. Yeah? And so then we went into code,
Chicos, necesitamos silencio.
and we said edit code. And what we did is, this is why it's so important to have those names there, is we imported the primary button, the secondary button, and the inactive button. Can you see this in the back as well?
¿Todo el mundo tiene eso?
Cool.
Eso es para importar el diseño al código. O sea, las propiedades CSS del diseño van a ser importadas al código y las vamos a poder usar para crear este componente, este sistema de diseño que estamos intentando. ¿Todo el mundo entiende esto?
So then we went to style, and this can be anything you want it to be, but let's keep it by calling it style for now. And what we're doing here is we're saying which options we want to have available on this right-hand side here. So please call them primary, secondary, inactive, and these things are really important, and these ones, just replicate everything you see.
Eso es para tener las diferentes opciones. O sea, tenemos 3 botones, queremos 3 opciones, y esto lo que estamos haciendo es básicamente hackear la UI de Framer. Estamos exponiendo los valores que vamos a poder seleccionar después. Así que eso es lo que estáis haciendo ahí, definir el type of property. ¿Sí? ¿Todo el mundo tiene ese código copiado y lo entiende por qué? ¿Sí?
I see some confused faces there, so
¿Quién?
it might give an error meanwhile while you're looking here, but that's no problem. That's
Yeah.
just because you didn't do the rest yet.
Yeah.
Aroa,
Can you scroll a bit up?
can you?
Yeah. One second.
Nada, no, estaba diciendo que no lo moviera, que lo dejara.
Ah, muy bien. We need a code component that is going to contain the 3 buttons.
Can I personally help someone meanwhile? Scroll down
Yeah? Is it more or less clear?
or up?
Like, everyone else's looks like a button. That part I don't understand.
Oh, not yet. No worries. It's going to look like a button in a minute. We have to finish it. para eso tenemos que esperar, porque eso va a salir ahí bien cuando acabemos de hacer el código. ¿Vale? Del code? Marciano, can we maybe zoom in a bit in the editor? Can we maybe zoom in?
Bigger?
Yeah. Yeah.
But what do you don't see? What do you want to see? Okay. Ah, okay. Yeah, but we're already almost there, so... But I guess I shouldn't show the cards. Yeah, I should listen to you more often. But then they should ask. Yes, so are we almost?
¿El qué no funciona?
Questions, anyone? I see a lot of hard-looking faces, so...
Tranquila, ahora acabaremos. O sea... Sí, sí, tranquila, no pasa nada. O sea, de momento, guardar así. Cuando tengamos todo el código copiado, si queréis después de esto, nos quedamos un rato por ahí y os enseño, o sea, os explico.
Yeah, we're good. So the biggest test to see if everything is good is if you go to your right-hand side, are you able to see this? Perfect. You're doing great so far. And so now we just want to have it happen that the moment I click secondary, that it actually changes into the secondary button. And that's what we're going to do now. So again, if I go too quick, please tell me. So what we're going to do now is we're going to get rid of this whole thing. And for the sake of clarity, I'm just going to keep it like this. And it will give the error again, but that's no problem. Is it so bad to see from there? Oh, wow, sorry. So again, it's really, really important to have this the same. What we're telling here that if the type of the button is called primary, so if what you're typing here is primary, or selecting, then show this button. Are we all good so far? I'm going to wait until I don't see any confused faces anymore. Those people there really don't.
What's better?
Everyone who looks confused, kind of.
I know there's a few, but really, I'm not useful in that they're just copying code. And
But help them to copy code.
I'm happy to. I just feel like I'm standing there.
Oh, sorry, sorry. Do we all have this? Should I go do something? Should I walk through it? Just tell me whatever. Also, if at this point you just want to give up, I'm going to send you all the files afterwards. Is ROS still helping people?
Mm-hmm.
And so I'm going to copy this code. And I'm going to paste it again. And then I'm going to change it. So secondary should become secondary button. I also see I have to change this one to style. Sorry about that. And just because we're going to do the same thing, wait. So basically, we're going to do the same thing over and over. And that looks inefficient, but you only have to do it once in your entire life until you update it again. So that's good. It doesn't really matter what I just did, but it just looks cleaner. So please, if you have, please check if your style says this. Please check if your options say the same thing. And for the sake of getting to a finished product, just copy this the way it is. If you have questions, Polo is here. So. Anyone who I can help from here? Are we all going good so far?
Yo no sé si me falta algo por cerrar. Mira, sí, un punto y coma.
Creo, me imagino que esto va a estar bien, pero luego aquí.
So if you did follow it, then now you can just change it to any button.
Lo cambió a estilo.
You can change the text, and it's fully interactive now.
Title type.
Vale.
A ver.
Yes.
Yo creo que es algo de los cierres. A ver, puedes ir para abajo.
Yo me imagino que va a ser aquí, ¿eh?
Sorry? This will be automated, but you're basically doing that already, but it's going to be even way easier. But this is the way an engineer speaks, and then you kind of want an engineer and designer to work better together, so they could make it for you, and all you need to do is just select it from there. But it's going to be way easier than that, yeah, true. But what you can do with this is that you can actually connect the talk we just had about prototyping with data. This is the way how you would do that, so that you can just connect it to a database, and suddenly you have 300 buttons. So yes, it will be much easier.
Somebody's isn't working, and I don't know if it's because of this. If you look at yours, you have primary button written twice on both sides, but in the one that you sent me as the final product, it's only written once. Do you think that has anything to do with the rendering?
Shouldn't be. But what isn't working? It's working.
Yeah. It's just you have it written twice on both sides.
Oh yeah. No, it's the same thing.
Does it matter?
No. It's the way TypeScript works. Yes, boss.
What is sporting from canvas?
The canvas is your design canvas in Framer. So this is your canvas. Everything here, you can just get in there. So if you make a form, you can just design it in here and then put code in it. And then it becomes fully React. And that's... I think I have to... So everyone, I hope you were able to follow along and to see how you could get these buttons all together in one button so that the person you give this component to, all he or she needs to do is take the button, put it on the canvas, can change the text, can change the type of button, and it will work right away in your prototype. So this is what I wanted to say with, and I had a lot more, but sorry, the time ran out. If you do want to learn more because you just didn't get it now, please tell me afterwards. I'm more than happy to do a one-on-one and get you through it. Because if you once understood how you can change the UI of Framer, then you can start making anything, and you need to do hard work once, but you never have to do it again. So if you start making a prototype and you need to make 20 prototypes in the end, you just need to spend an hour once, and you don't need to spend that hour again. And let me quickly go back to yada yada yada. You can do this. Well, this is minimal. Well, we're just going to end it like this then. So first of all, thank you very much. So my name is Marciano. You can send me an email. You can find me on Twitter. And if you are looking for a job and you're thinking of wanting to move to Amsterdam for a new adventure, we are building the future of design tools, and we're looking for engineers, we're looking for designers, we're looking for maybe Spanish people who can do this design education talk way better than I do. So just go to our website, framer.com/careers, and we'll be happy to take you out for lunch. I think it's time to now